Welcome to EPG Pathshala. So far in this course, that is Women, Media and Films, you have been introduced to various important topics such as representation, women as tools of marketing and promotion, patriarchy keeping the status quo, and the role and positioning of women across various media platforms. Today we are going to discuss how media covers working women, both who are paid high and both who are paid low. And what is the difference in the coverage? Is media balancing its coverage of working women in comparison to working males? So let us begin. The new millennium should have ushered in a paradigm shift in the way we perceive his story. Going by the technological advancements and the great strides society has made, the time was ripe to acknowledge the birth of her story, but that was not to be. The oft-repeated cliché that behind every successful man is the hand of a woman best describes media coverage of working women in India. The statement posits the fact that women are destined to play the role of a supporting actor and never that of a protagonist. We know that media has played a very important and fruitful role during the struggle for independence. And after that, there was more responsibility which media has to usher to. But sadly, media was not very well when it came to coverage of working women. The only concern post-independence was to tell people about the importance of family planning because our nation was suffering from the problem of population explosion. And so the contributions made by women in all disciplines from history to architecture, engineering to medical profession were ignored by and large. As a result, whatever documentation we have, it does not support the fact that women have been working in various professions, whether it is in educational institutions or various media organizations. With a huge population to feed, employment generation became its national obsession, and this meant getting the man of the house a job in order to keep the home fires burning. A job for its women folk was an issue that remained on the back burner till the economic liberalization process was set in motion in the early 1990s. According to a senior women journalist, the comparison and contrast between high-paying and low-paying working women is a misnomer since even today, the concept of working women is hardly accepted by our society and by our mindset. It is in this backdrop that we need to perceive that the media holds a mirror to society and perception issues dominate Indian media discourse on working women. We first need to contextualize as to when the idea of Indian feminism kicked in. This brings us to another important topic, that is feminism, and we will try to contextualize feminism. What is feminism? Feminism refers to various social, political, economic and religious movements by progressive men and women of India and abroad in order to demand equal economic, social and religious rights for women in all fields. The right to work for equal wages, equal political rights and right access to health and education was at the heart of these movements. In India, feminism started in the mid-19th century. People started to speak against the practice of sati. It gained momentum during the fight for independence and post-independence, emphasizing on women being treated fairly and equally at their homes and also at their work. Feminism is seen as the struggle against all forms of patriarchal and sexist aggression. It implies that women suffer from systematic social injustice because of their gender. The modern Indian women, despite the feministic movement's success, are still subjected to multiple issues of discrimination. Now let us talk about some reports. Globally, India ranks very low in Human Development Index. Amongst the emerging market economies, the female labor force participation in India is also low. It is said with greater labor force participation by women, higher would be the economic growth. Yet there exists a large gap between the labor force participation of men and women in India. When it comes to gender gap with respect to education, healthcare, political and economic issues is also high for Indians. For instance, India ranks 1/13 of the 135 countries study on the gender gap index undertaken by the World Economic Forum. Women comprise 24% of India's workforce, and the country ranks 111 in a list of 131 countries. Also, more women are found in the private sector who have been covered by media than many women who work in the unorganized agricultural sector. With feminists like Madhu Kishwar, Urvashi Butalia and Shabana Azmi taking up cudgels on behalf of the disempowered and exploited women workforce in the 70s and the 80s, there has been some awakening across media domains. Dowry deaths, which are rampant both in the urban and rural areas, are hardly covered with the sensitivity that is required. In the same vein, female feticide and India's family obsession with the male child has also been addressed in fits and starts by the largely reactive and not proactive media. The end result is that the male and female ratio in India, particularly in some parts of Rajasthan and Haryana, are highly skewed. The third lurking issue is of low-paid single women in the bane of honor killing, which is accepted by a significant section of the media. On the other hand, where feminism has led to awareness amongst women about their conjugal, legal and work rights, women are yet to take up charge and demand their rights. The prevailing societal norms compel women take less paying jobs, make fewer attempts to further their career, think more of family and personal sacrifice that would have to be made. On the other hand, where feminism has led to awareness amongst women about their conjugal, legal and work rights, women are yet to take up charge and demand their rights. The prevailing societal norms compel women take less paying jobs, make fewer attempts to further their career, think more of family and personal sacrifice that would have to be made if they want to climb up in the corporate ladder and maintain a job which lets them fulfill their personal roles more than their professional ones. An analysis into the status of media coverage of working women in India reveals not a very bright picture. First, the organizations where women work are not very receptive to the problems faced by Indian women. Second, women are also at many cases not able to voice their issues since they fear that it will be taken something as negative for their curriculum vitae. And third, even media does not highlight these issues, that what are the problems which women face in day-to-day life while maintaining a balance between their professional and personal lives. Now students, let us focus on a few case studies which will show how media has highlighted certain issues with respect to women on a brighter side or on a darker note. The first case which I am going to discuss with you is that of Uma Khurana. In the year 2006, Uma Khurana, a mathematics teacher of the government Sarvodaya Kanya Vidyalaya in central Delhi's Daryaganj, was almost lynched by an angry mob, the reason being that she has blackmailed her students into prostitution. The police, however, said they had not received any complaint against her. There was no complaint about her running a prostitution racket and no cases are registered against her, said a senior police officer. Khurana does not have a spotless record. During her previous posting at the government senior secondary school for girls in Vivek Vihar Phase 2, she was suspended on grounds of alleged misconduct. She was reinstated later and transferred to the school in Daryaganj. Next very popular and important case is that of actor Shiny Ahuja, who was accused of molesting his housemate. In a major development in early June 2009, Bollywood actor Shiny Ahuja, who reportedly assaulted a maid, was arrested on June 15 after his domestic help accused him of raping her at his residence. Earlier, the medical reports of the actor had suggested that he was not under the influence of alcohol or drugs at the time of the incident. The reports of the actor also showed an abrasion on the right hand with no other injury on his body. The abrasion indicated that the victim had tried to resist him, but the accused managed to overpower her. So this was again very high profile case, and in this case also Shiny Ahuja was highlighted and the plight of the victim was ignored by majority media. How can we not talk about the Nirbhaya gang rape case at this moment? The dastardly act of raping and killing Jyoti Singh Nirbhaya in a cold December night in 2012 brought the whole of Delhi on the streets, thanks to the activist role played by the media. But there was a downside too. According to a report published in the International Business Times, the non-stop media coverage of a young woman who died after being gang raped on a Delhi bus is being criticized by local newspaper, media critics, and even some members of India's Bollywood community. Worldwide coverage of the incident has spurred awareness of the brutal sexual assault that are common in India. But critics in that country say the circus-like play-by-play media accounts could spur more violence. As demonstrators stormed the capital demanding that the government do more to protect women, the Indian Express cautioned that the protest rallies are being amplified and primed up hysterically by the electronic media and are in a danger of becoming even more driven by bloodlust. The Jessica Lal murder retrial. So students, now we are going to discuss the Jessica Lal murder retrial, what happened and how media gave coverage to that issue. With the advent of media in every sphere of human life, even the last bastion of protection from prying eyes, the judiciary seems to have fallen. Trial by media made famous or infamous by the O.J. Simpson murder case has arrived in full regalia in India with a virtual retrial of the Jessica Lal case, where intense protest following a not guilty verdict forced the government to order a retrial. One has to respect the judiciary, but the accusation that the media are playing judge, jury, and executioner at the same time is rooted in a misconception of the role of media in the new technological age. On April 30, 1999, she refused to serve a drink to one Siddharth Vashisht alias Manu Sharma, son of Haryana politician and minister in Haryana government. On this, Manu got furious and fired on her twice and killed her on the spot. Later on, the case was reported and he was found culprit and was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now students, let us try to understand the workforce perspective with respect to working women in India. To put things in perspective, we need a factor in which a US-based writer, Sarah Glynn, shared in her article written in 2013. Today, April 9th, is celebrated as Pay Equity Day as it marks the number of extra days into 2013 that the average woman must work in order to earn as much as the average man earned in 2012. Naysayers argue that women earn less than men because of the choices they make in their lives, choosing to work in less lucrative careers, to work less hours, and to take more time out of the paid labor force to stay home with children or care for elderly relatives. But there is a preponderance of evidence indicating that something more complicated is happening than just women voluntarily self-selecting into lower paying careers. Women on average make only 77 cents to every dollar earned by men. Some of that wage gap is the result of women being more likely to work in certain industries or occupation, but about 40% of the difference in men and women's wages cannot be explained by any measurable factor. And the wage gap is even higher for the women of color, pointing to social factors that go far beyond the choices that women make. Now let us see how women are presented as news subject across various media platforms. The Indian media by and large does not have the social parameters or the courage to showcase women in their true light. Let us now take a cursory look as to show how different media streams portray working women, be it a high paying or a low paying. First, we are going to talk about Hindi cinema and how Bollywood has dealt with working women. In a country where homely is the ultimate womanly virtue, it is only to be expected that its most popular cinema would prefer its heroine to be in a most ladylike manner unemployed. Over the years, Bollywood movies have slowly built up to the position that work is something women do when they have no other option. The concept of work as something a woman might want to do without its affecting her femininity took time and the involvement of women directors. In Chashme Badur, Sai Paranjpe chose to use Dipti Nawal's short-lived career as the Chamko washing powder salesgirl as a plot point and never felt the need to explain it. Similarly, in Farah Khan's Main Hoon Na, Shushmita Sen is a sexy beauty in traditional Indian wear who is coincidentally a chemistry professor. So we have seen how in the movies women are not given their due if they are working. Now let us move our focus to the advertisement world and see how women are treated there. Aparna Singh in Women's Web made an extremely scathing observation when she said, in case You don't follow ads yourself. Don't let this selection of noteworthy ads fool you into thinking that working women in India are now evidently represented in advertising. The converse is true. Unpaid work at home is almost always shown as being done by women. The fact is that I had to think really hard to come up with a few examples. Freelance writer Smriti Lamek puts it rightly. Perhaps the most significant thing is that I can't remember a single ad with a working woman. I am sure there are plenty, but none of them enough to leave an impression. The most played out ads that come back to mind are mothers in saris with the pallu tucked into the waist, who either make you bowls of healthy Maggi, Horlicks, or tell you it's okay if your shirt is covered in mud. Is that a representation of India's leaky pipeline when it comes to working women, or just that most advertising tends to play safe and working women in India are still seen as exceptional characters and not the normal ones? So now let us focus our shift on the Indian television serials and see how women have been portrayed in the television serials. The entry of foreign players in the Indian media landscape provided viewers with a plethora of choices in terms of media content. However, television's role as an agent for social and political change was a lost cause. Television became obsessed with the concept of infotainment, a combination of information and entertainment attuned to profits, revenues, and ratings. The projection of hackneyed and unoriginal female roles presented a glaring distinction between the real and the real women. Though television soaps debate societal issues, the working Indian woman is conspicuous by her absence. So we have seen how media has been unjust and unbalanced in its treatment of women across various media platforms, be it advertisement, television, films, and what else. Now we will see how communication is going to play an important role in this. In this regard, the ongoing communication revolution has opened up new possibilities of accelerating the process of upliftment of women. But if it remains unguided and uncontrolled, this revolution will decelerate the process and it will have adverse effects on the lives of women. Hence, it is worthwhile to understand the way in which women are reflected in the print and electronic media in the country and its influence on viewers' perception about empowerment of women on society. Media paid scant attention to the warrant issues till 1975. In 1975, the findings of the Committee on National Status of Women revealed that the status of women has been declined steadily. Since then, a National Commission for Women and other organizations are striving hard to improve the status of Indian women through all means, including different forms of communication for the mass. Now we are going to see how social factors themselves play an important role in reducing women's participation in the workforce. Husbands and in-laws often discourage women from working, while in many parts of the country restrictions are imposed even on their movements outside the household. In this context, it is notable that labor participation is particularly low in India among urban educated women, the section of the female society that is in fact less likely to be constrained by social factors. In 2009-10, the proportion of those attending to domestic duties was 57% among urban females with graduate degrees or higher, compared to just 31% among rural females with primary or middle school education. So, what are the reasons for this massive withdrawal of women folk from their work lives? Lower wages than man could be one reason, but then female-male wage disparities exist in Japan and South Korea as well. But female labor participation has been high in these countries. That means we need to dig deeper and find out the reasons why women are not allowed to work, and even if they are working, they are not enjoying equal status as their male counterparts. To put things in the perspective of women editors, we have interviewed 2 women editors and let's see what they have told about this particular concern. Meenal Baghel, editor Mumbai Mirror, candidly admitted to the lapses of her paper in the past, pointing out that newsrooms had their limitations and imperfections. The pressure in a newsroom, she admitted, was akin to that felt by doctors working in emergency ward. In the working process, one did sometimes get desensitized, but by and large the process of questioning the treatment of the issue has begun in media circles. She pointed out that Mumbai Mirror had never used the term Eve teasing, and this was the outcome of a conscious decision. While much reporting happens in ad hoc basis with no hard and fast rules, the newsroom is definitely more discerning and sensitive today than it was in the past. Now let us see what Kalpana Sharma, deputy editor of The Hindu, has to tell about the same issue. Over all these years, haven't women gained expertise to be able to express their knowledge? Due to this fact that it has always been men, you have to take that conscious effort to correct that balance by ensuring that the opinions of women are incorporated. Similarly, in reporting, now at least there is some consciousness in the use of noun and pronoun like he and she. There are many editors now who consciously say she and her. The editors write she because we have always said he. It is a small token thing which is important. Moreover, gender neutral terms like journalist and reporters are also being used, but that is not enough. So students, what we have learned so far? After having transferred the gamut of media coverage of working women in this module, we need to understand the dynamics of working women in Indian society and consequently the way Indian media portrays them. At the outset, we learned that only 24% of able-bodied women comprise the workforce. Of the majority belong to the rural areas and work either in the agricultural field or work in the unorganized sector. They make for the majority of the low-paid workers, but their coverage in the media is as marginalized as they themselves are. They are showed as victims or in supporting roles and never as productive members, contributing to the nation's economy. We also saw that media has been largely fair to high-paying working women, largely living in urban areas. We have seen the brighter and darker spots in Indian media's coverage of working women by highlighting certain cases. With this, we have come to the end of the module. I am sure that you have been made aware of how working women and their issues are covered by media by now. And we have seen that media has not been just and balanced in its coverage of women issues, especially those of working women. We have also seen the case studies of Uma Khurana, Shaini Ahuja and Jessica Lal in order to emphasize how media has played a brighter as well as a darker note in telecasting these issues. Also, we have seen the problems faced by women in work situations and how media is not able to do something for their benefit. And in the end, we have seen the perspective of two female editors who are saying that they are doing their own in order to bring a balance about the coverage of women issues. Media is an important vehicle, and the message that is carried by mass media is detrimental to what kind of society we have. So I hope that our media becomes more responsible and covers both women and women issues, whether it is at home or at office, in a more balanced and just manner. Thank you for watching.